Und ja, Herbert ist Geschäftspartner und Freund von uns hier und ist auch Förderer des Ganzen, was wir hier tun. Und mit seinem Team, Herbert ist GmbH Board Member of Large, Medium and Small Companies, various roles as Managing Director, CEO, CFO, and last but not least, Special Representative from Kanton Zug. Yeah, he's a wonderful guy, and I hope he's now on. Yes, he is. Welcome, Herbert. Thank you that you are here. Good morning, and it's your stage.
Thank you very much, Tino. Good day, everybody. Many thanks that I have the opportunity to talk at the Crypto Valley conference. I will talk today about two subjects. A short message why the early blockchain companies like Ethereum, Consensus, and Akasha, you will hear Mihai Alisi also at this summit, have chosen Switzerland and particularly Zug as their hub. Like to share some history which started late 2013 until today, and then some hints how you can become more efficient to operationalize, to set up your business, to fund your business, and not to repeat always the same mistakes as we did 6 years ago. When we talk about Switzerland, and Tino asked actually Martin, why Switzerland? And I give the view which the founders of Ethereum had when they came to Switzerland. Switzerland is strategically very well situated. It's between two time zones. It is between the US and it's between Asia, right in the middle, and it makes it convenient to talk globally much more easily than when you would be in the Arctic or somewhere else. Then the trust in the political system. The blockchain is a decentralized system, and the same applies for Switzerland. It's a democracy which is organized on 3 levels: on the federal level, on 26 cantonal levels, and self-governing municipalities. That means you don't have a central position who is governing the country. Then the legal system is quite stable over years. And I have to say also, it helps Switzerland that fortunately Switzerland never had a war over the past 100 years. And it was always stable and could concentrate and focus on the important things. Then the banking system, we heard this before also, the banking system is really stable. The trust is here, which we have. And what's going on in the country, in the world, you heard my business partner, Ari Levy-Cohen yesterday, what's going on. It makes really Switzerland even more favorable to be a hub for companies who want to build up their business. Then the confidence in professionalism, a cooperative and competitive workforce. The education system is quite sophisticated. We have the ETH, we have the EPFL in Lausanne, we have the University of St. Gallen, Zurich and Basel, all solid universities, which Switzerland, which it makes Switzerland very competitive. Then, if you go to the Canton of Zug, Canton of Zug within Switzerland, Switzerland has about 41,000 square kilometers, 8 million. That means in 1.5 days you easily go around the country. You can see the most important economic cities, especially Zurich. You have Basel with all the life sciences companies. You have Geneva. You have Bern as the government city. And you have, of course, Zug. And Canton of Zug is the smallest canton of Switzerland of the 26. It has about 124,000 inhabitants, 109,000 workplaces. You will see a difference during the day. There are much more many people than during the night. And impressively, it's about 32,000 registered companies and 130 nations. It's a multi-culti place where Europeans, Asians, Americans, Africans, and Australians are really working together. And this is actually based on the spirit of Zug. I call it really the spirit. Zug itself, 50 years ago, there were many farmers, they had sheep and cows, and economically absolutely not strong. And then some responsible people there thought how we can build up Zug, and they had the idea to actually bring in companies. And it's not only about all taxes, it's really the service Kanton Zug provides. It's everybody wants to go the same direction. What makes sense will be done, and each other help each other. Also, the governors who are leading different departments. If taxes are lowered, then all the visa people, the economic department, and you heard Beat Bachmann before, they think how can we grow actually this Kanton Zug. And the good thing is the USP is definitely the experience Kanton of Zug has. They have it over 50 years. They made a lot of mistakes, make always less and less mistakes, very proactive. And this helps definitely when I got the call then from Johann Gevers, who founded Monetas, and told me, hey, there are some guys coming from Ethereum, Mihai Alisi, Charles Hoskinson, Vitalik, Joe Lubin, Gavin Wood, and you should talk with them. And when they came, they arrived in a mobility car. They got even a parking ticket at the Park Hotel because they didn't know where to park. And we met at Regus, an international business center. And the receptionist asked me, do you have your students here? All people between 19 and 28 years. And nobody knew them. And they asked me if I can help them to set up the company and act as a Swiss director. You need a Swiss director to found a company. And then it started all like this. They were living in an Airbnb in Meyer's Kappel. There are many authors who wrote books about it, and you can read the details in these books, or they want to create a movie, they told me. But first, they were in an Airbnb in Meyer's Kappel. Then they came to my apartment 2 weeks. I have a 3.5 bedroom apartment, 11 people. It was a lot of fun. And some people, they were cooking, others were coding. And I still remember when Charles had the broadcast session like I have now with Los Angeles. He was in the bed and he talked over the phone. This was really the startup spirit. And also Kanton, when I went to Kanton of Zug, I told them, I think this is really something interesting. They have an interesting business model. They are innovators. They are risk takers. And then they said, yes, make the business case. And we applied for visas that they can stay here. And that's not so easy because some people, they didn't finish their university degree. And university degree is definitely a table stake to get a visa. But when they saw Vitalik's white paper, they thought he's really brilliant, and we overcame this hurdle. Another thing was the bank account. We started with Post Finance first because they were very open. And then we went to Credit Suisse, we went to UBS, and then the bank accounts were shut down. Then we found a nice house close to Zug. They called it the Spaceship. And the owner said, look, I need a down payment of 1 year rent. And this was 75,000. I still remember the amount. And they had only Bitcoins. And how do you exchange Bitcoin? We went to Bitcoin Swiss. And Niklas Nikolaisen helped us to change the Bitcoins into 75,000. And this was done. We had to find a way how we pay actually the owner the 75,000 in cash. And then we went to the post office twice. We paid twice 20,000. Then they said, you can't do that anymore. It's money laundering. And then we tried to do it through other ways. But finally, we paid him the 75,000. But to see actually the difficulties we had at the early stage in February 2014. And then also the mistake what we did there, and where we struggled a lot, we didn't have any accounting because they were just really trying to innovate and code whatever Vitalik calculated. Accounting went on the side. And after 1 year, we had all these receipts in the shoe boxes, and somehow we called the company who helped us to put the puzzles together and establish a year-end close. That was basically the early stage in 2014. And this gave us the idea to found Codex, and I founded it with Ari Levy-Cohen, who is based in New York. And we tried to establish a cookbook and gather all the experience which we made over 16 years. I do that since 16 years for big companies like Thomson Reuters, for Springer, for Rackspace. And we had a team of about 5-6 people who put templates in place, who put documents in place. And referring to my the former speaker, Martin, the ecosystem is very important, that you have the network, you know the people, and you know the people who can deliver. And we really sophisticated this system to an oily machine, which covers the whole process of a company, from strategy to business case, to the site selection, to the operational setup, when you expand, optimization, and whatever your next steps are. And our specialty is we don't do everything by ourselves. We work closely with our partners, with the Big Fours, with lawyers, which you heard also on this conference. And we are the glue in the whole system and make sure that the puzzle comes together and all the important things are rightly integrated. One big hint which I like to give you here is that before you come to Switzerland, it's important that you figure out your business model in detail. You need the business case. The business case is required to open a bank account. It's required to open a visa. And without this table stakes, you can have the best idea, but you can't build up a business here in Switzerland. Then the next thing is really, how do you fund the whole thing? How do you get the money? And you heard many speakers over the past 2 days about the tokenization, security token, all the detailed requirements. We work there with the specialists. And this you should figure out before you come. If you come here, you lose 8-9 months. And to cover your cash flow for 8-9 months is very, very challenging. And we had many companies, money burned away. All their bitcoins burned away. They didn't have any money, they left, and they didn't accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. But if you do that in the beginning and work closely together with us, and we coordinate all the ecosystem for you, that when you come, then we can accomplish a lot in 1 week, and cost and time are very reduced. Our team is, as I mentioned, Ari. Then we have Sabrina. She works 3 years with us now. She really piled up a ton of knowledge, ton of experience. She has a bachelor degree, works for banks, and knows all the requirements there. And then we have Christian, who works also almost 3 years with us now. He's in accounting, and as everybody knows, in accounting, everything comes together finally. And if this is not done right, all the statutory requirements can't be fulfilled, and this will not be good for you. Then, why do we think Codex Execution is the right partner? We want to deliver Switzerland as a service. As I mentioned, I'm still working for Thomson Reuters. I'm on the Swiss board, and I help to expatriate about 200 people. whereas about 30 people are still in Switzerland, and we have a lot of knowledge there. I was an expat by myself, 3 years in Japan, in Tokyo, 3 years in LA, in the US, 4 years in Vienna, traveled extensively. And you know that you will soon realize that you are not in Kansas anymore, which is from the famous Wizard of Oz. And we try to help you privately, especially for your family, for your children. Find them schools. We have about 50 children at school at Thomson Reuters in Zurich, in Zug. And we know actually the difficulties families face. And if you can't fix these issues, you can't work. Then we are really here to make to be your trusted partner, to make it very smooth and comfortable for your transition. And if you do your homework right, things goes very fast, and there is also a much higher probability that you have success and that you can expand your business, prosper your business, and contribute to the crypto valley of Zug. Thank you very much for your attention. I like to give back to Tino.
Ja, vielen Dank, lieber Herbert. Ich spreche in Deutsch, du darfst gerne in Englisch weitersprechen, das kannst du besser als ich. Und weil du jetzt in Englisch auch angefangen hast. Herbert, was würdest du denn den Menschen sagen, die sich so überlegen, hier in Zug sich eine Niederlassung auszusuchen bzw. zu gründen? Wäre da ein Shared Office für den Anfang gut, oder denkst du, das macht gleich Sinn, ein richtiges Office hier sich zu mieten, vom Prozess her? Wie schwierig ist sowas?
No, this is absolutely the right question. As I said, I would not take a domicile or even lease an office before you have covered all the questions which I just mentioned. That means you need really a solid business plan. Do not come and found a company because it's easy to get a Swiss director, a domicile. Bank account is a challenge, but there are also banks in Liechtenstein who can help you. But with a company, you don't achieve anything. If you can't figure out the business plan, then to get a Swiss bank account if possible, then to have the Swiss director, then to check if you have a chance to relocate to Switzerland, especially when you are a third country citizen. This is very challenging. You have to prove the economic value, and you have to prove that you are special in a sense, that you have skills which a Swiss can't fulfill. If you didn't check out that, don't found a company. That means when you have this, then I would take first a shared office. It costs you about 3,000 Swiss francs per year. And you have already a base. And then you can found the company subject to a bank account. And then from there, when you have prepared everything, actually it's going very fast. But the other thing is really think, how are you funding your business? That means you need money at least for 6 months. And to found an AG, you need to pay at least 50,000 Swiss francs. For GmbH, 20,000 Swiss francs. Once it's registered in the commercial register, these both amounts are available, but this goes maybe 2 months and then you are out of money. That means to figure it out technically, marketing-wise, what you need to do to fund the money. And if you do it through a security token, do it beforehand, before you are in Switzerland too, because infrastructure is much more easier set up than all the table stakes which I just mentioned before.
Okay. Vielen Dank für diese Antwort. Ich habe noch Fragen aus dem Chat. Ich denke, das, was du gerade sagtest, sind wichtige Informationen für all die mit der Idee spielen, sich hier in der Schweiz niederzulassen. Und ich glaube, dass wir, ich nenne jetzt mal wirklich wir, du wie ich auch, oder wir in unserer Zusammenarbeit hier schon einiges möglich gemacht haben und vielen Firmen auch auf die Beine geholfen haben, die hier jetzt auch sich niederlassen können im Kanton oder im Umfeld. Konstantin, have a question. I'm curious, were you conscious of what was about to happen when you led the guys from Ethereum live with you? Did you see their vision from the beginning?
This is a great question, thank you. No, I still remember the business plan took about 6 months to put together. And there were about 5 people working on this. And there was a lot of fights. It started with which is our logo. Then they were struggling to set up the logo, and finally it resulted what we see now. But the business plan took at least 6 to 9 months, I would say, until we had the business plan. And Ethereum was, from a setup, a very, very, very expensive case. And I would say it was 1 year until we set it up. And as I said, the accounting was still not solved. We couldn't close the books. And this, we had problems over 2-3 years afterwards. And I do not know if it's solved now, I hope so. But as I said, they didn't have it in the beginning. They had it maybe after 9 months. And after many fights, many drinks, a lot of red heads, a lot of frustration. And this you can avoid.
Ja, aber Gott sei Dank waren das alles junge Leute, die sehr viel gute Nerven haben. Ich glaube, in unserem Alter muss man das nicht mehr so haben, diese Kämpfe. Aber du warst ja da wirklich an der Seite und hast da wirklich viel mitgefördert und gemacht mit deinem ganzen großen Netzwerk. Also ich freue mich auch nachher nochmal auf Mihai. Mihai wird uns da nochmal berichten aus dieser Richtung. Der ist ja einer der Gründer, der auch dir sehr wohl bekannt ist und sehr eng befreundet ist. Und der wird uns darüber noch mehr erzählen, über Ethereum. Bin sehr gespannt. Axel Schmid hat hier noch eine Frage. Is a Swiss director mandatory, or it might be also a foreigner?
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but you can be a foreigner, but you need a permit. At least you need an L permit. That means you don't need to be a Swiss citizen. That means Ari, for instance, my partner Ari, he's an American citizen. He had an L permit and a B permit. He was entitled to be a Swiss director. Foreigner qualifies also as long as he has a visa.
Okay, danke. Martina hat eine Frage. Bert Bachmann hat gestern gesagt, dass es völlig okay ist, Tax-Domizil without operations zu haben. Stimmt das wirklich? Ist es in der Schweiz nicht wichtig, dass man vor Ort ist, eingebunden wird in den Local Community und sich ein Netzwerk aufbaut?
Yeah, this is a good question, because it's also very risky if you have an operation without people. Because if you have certain revenues, you have to prove that you have substance on the ground, that you really have boots on the ground. And tax rates are about 12%, and that you can justify these tax rates, you have to prove that you make the major decisions in Switzerland. You need meeting minutes. I know many people are not doing that, and also at Thomson Reuters, we didn't do that in the beginning, the first 1-2 years, but now it's rock solid. It's all documented. Decisions are taken here. I had to get a special quarantine certificate for the CEO, CFO, and the product manager of Thomson Reuters in November, that they can fly here, and they got 5 days because they make all the major decisions in November. They document it, and I really caution you to have an operation without people here, and it will bite you once. If you do it right from the beginning, then you don't have to patch all these things and invest a lot of time and sweat.
Herbert, ich habe hier noch eine Frage von mir, was ich mitbekommen habe, was sehr wichtig ist, denke ich, was man hier auch nochmal einbringen darf, ist, wenn du eine Firma hier gründest und ausländische Mitbürger beschäftigst, ja, sagen wir aus Deutschland oder von wo auch immer her, die nicht in der Schweiz jetzt unbedingt leben, dann gibt es ja da auch spezielle Auflagen. Und das kannst du vielleicht noch mal kurz erklären, auf was es hier zu achten gibt von Firmenseite aus.
Yeah, what we really propose, and we worked on this client. We worked very much with KPMG and PwC. What they proposed to us that we should have quarterly board meetings or quarterly Gesellschafter meetings, managing director meetings, and document it. And at least two, you should be physically in Switzerland. Now, this year you get away with it, but if when COVID is once away, at least 1 or 2 you should be physically here. Document what you decide. Document the days when you have been here, and then you have already a case if. And it's not the Swiss tax authorities who chase you, it's HMRC, it's IRS, it's the foreign tax authorities who will chase you.
Okay. Gut, ich habe jetzt, da kommt noch eine Frage von Bernhard rein. Are you offering your service for any kind of business, / industry, or are you specialized in certain markets?
No, we are actually cross business. That means you see, maybe I'm sitting in a clinic now. We are in the health industry. We are in life sciences. Of course, we are in IT, especially in IT, in facility management. We are in the banking industry, and we have experience and reference cases for these industries which I just mentioned.
Okay, gut. Herbert, vielen Dank. Ich habe jetzt nichts weiter aus dem Chat. Super Ausführungen. Ich glaube, das macht auch wieder einen breiten Bogen auf, was an Informationen geflossen ist, was jemand, der gründen will, tun kann. Er kann jederzeit natürlich dich auch kontakten. Codex Execution ist mittlerweile schon mehrfach genannt und gefallen, aber wenn ihr das haben wollt, ihr findet uns, ihr könnt uns anschreiben, wir helfen euch. Herbert, hier wartet noch ein handsigniertes für dich, gell? Ich habe es dir schon erwähnt.
Danke vielmals.
Du kennst ihn persönlich mittlerweile.
Yes.
Und ja, die Bücher sind wirklich gut geschrieben, auch wenn man nicht alles lesen soll, immer nur schrittweise lesen, schon alles, aber Schritt für Schritt, weil sonst muss man viel Bier trinken dabei.
I really appreciate it, Tino. Thank you very much. Have a successful day.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.